What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Wake and Jake College Football Show. Today is the Week 11 preview. Um, Typical episode today. Going to get into some news. Not a whole lot to get into. Honestly, I'm not. I'll just say it right now. Not really going to touch on the playoff rankings that were announced. Um, Discussion's already passed. I'll bring up one thing that I've seen around it, but we're not going to get too far into that. We have some news to touch on. And then previewing some games and getting out my favorite bets for this weekend. So yeah, typical episode. It's what to expect. I'm gonna remember to put this in this time. If you do like what I'm putting out, whether like I said it's these long form previews and recaps, or whether it's my shorts, um, like and subscribe. It helps a lot. So that would be much appreciated. But yeah, let's get right into it and have a great wake and bake sesh. So we had our first official college football playoff rankings were released this week. Um, I guess there was some questionable things, but overall, I think it was fine. Nothing that I really hated. Um, some people are complaining that there's too many SEC teams in the top 5, 10, whatever the argument may be. Whatever. I'm so sick of that. Besides a lot, and if you look at a lot of those teams that are ranked a little high, they all play each other. So a lot of those are going to start dropping out. So relax. It is the first playoff rankings. It really doesn't mean anything. The only one that matters is the final one. This one doesn't mean anything at all. Um, Now, one thing I've seen discussed, and I'm going to throw an example out there of Alabama. Now, Alabama's the number 4 team in the country. I think they deserve to be. They only have one loss, whatever. But I'm seeing the conversation out there, the argument out there that we can't forget losses that happened in September. And I'm not saying that you forget them because they definitely happened and we shouldn't fully forget them. I know I've said that word on the show previously that I'm willing to forget. I think the better term or word to use would be I'm willing to forgive that loss. So using Alabama, for example, this is kind of a bad example again because they are only have one loss. First game of the season, they lost to Florida State, and that, as the weeks go on, is looking like a worse and worse loss. But here's the thing: is as bad as Florida State has been, it was also the first game of the season, and I'm willing to cut teams some slack when it comes to first game of the season. Um, Again, forget is the wrong word. You never should forget. But to forgive that loss, I'm willing to forgive it at this point. Was it a bad loss? Yes. Looking back, it's a terrible loss, and it just keeps getting worse as the weeks go on. But I'm still not holding it as strongly against them. Um, Another team I would throw in there. This is probably where the argument gets a little more heated. A team like Notre Dame, they've got two losses. Uh, the one loss to Texas A&M looks like a good loss. It was by what was it 1 point? And yes, it was at home, but it was by a score. Um, and look at Texas A&M; they're an undefeated team, so that's a loss where you're looking like, okay, well, they're a damn good team. Um, but you look at that loss to Miami the first week of the season. Miami has two losses now. That loss is not looking as great. Notre Dame is sitting here with two losses, and also we look at the teams that Notre Dame has played since those two. Easy schedule, but what do good teams do when they're given an easy schedule? They dominate. That's what Notre Dame has done. We have seen this defense for Notre Dame get better as the weeks go on. This team as a whole right now is better than they were in week one, which most teams are. That's just how football works. Teams will get better as the year goes on, as everything starts to click and as they start to gel and as they start to, they weren't healthy in the offseason. Whatever the case may be, this happens with teams. My point is, I think if you matched up Miami versus Notre Dame right now, Notre Dame comes away with the win. I think it is a completely different game. Now your freshman quarterback who had never started the game before is a lot more comfortable now. Defense has gotten a lot better as the season has gone on. It, Notre Dame is mainly who this argument is for, where I'm willing to forgive that loss to Miami. I won't forget it, but I'm willing to forgive it as it was first game of the season, and we've seen what they've done since then and how much CJ Carr has improved. And really, when you look at that game, it was they were bad for a half, maybe 3 quarters. It wasn't even a full game. I'm getting too deep into the weeds. That is my argument. I'm not saying you have to forget those losses, but we do have to start potentially forgiving them at some point. Now, the big news, I forgot to put in the blurb. I recorded it and everything. I did put out a quick short, um, but I completely forgot to put it into the show. Hugh Freeze was fired, which I mean, we all knew. We all knew it was coming as soon as we saw that final score. We all knew it was coming. Um, what a disappointing tenure at Auburn. Honestly, it when he got hired there, based on what he had done at Ole Miss, beating Alabama was twice. That's really all he did. Um, his offenses were fun. Uh, Goes to Liberty, has great success there. I thought this was going to be a sure thing hire, and he just could not get it right. And what's funny is Auburn has a great defense, has a good defense, good to great. He's an offensive guru and just could not figure it out, could not get the offense going. The offense actually, it's not even that the offense has been like average. The offense has been absolute ass. It's been so bad, which is just kind of funny, honestly, if I'm being honest. But just what a disappointing tenure. And I think Auburn's a good job. And maybe some would put it above LSU and Florida right now. Make that argument, I guess. When we go off of like potential, I would still put LSU above Auburn. I would still put Penn State above Auburn. And I would probably still put Florida above Auburn. I would probably have Auburn at number four, fourth best job available. This coaching carousel has just gotten absolutely wild. I am so excited for this offseason. It's probably going to start happening before the offseason, seeing where these coaches start landing, who goes where, who else is going to start looking for a new coach. It's going to be, does Lane Kiffin stay or go? Um, it'll be interesting to see. All right, some Friday night games to touch on. Start with Houston at UCF. Um, I know UCF is the home team. I understand that. I know how lines work. They should have an advantage. And Houston is favored coming into this game by 1.5 currently. They started at like 2.5, I believe. I feel like they should be favored by more. I don't know. I just feel like they need to be favored by more. Houston, and maybe it's just because like the AP voters, they wouldn't rank Houston, wouldn't rank them, just wouldn't do it, and then finally like, all right, fine, they're 7-1, we have to rank them now. Like we don't have a choice. And then they rank them, then they immediately lose to West Virginia. And then of course they're unranked now, and everybody's like, oh, why did we even bother ranking them? It's just they just they were given a nice thing and they couldn't hold on to it. So maybe it's just the overreaction to that. I don't know. I just feel like Houston should be favored by more. That's all I'll say. UCF is 4-4, 1-4 in conference, and if they want to make a bowl game, they need to win this game. Honestly, to finish the season, they go on the road to Texas Tech, home versus Oklahoma State, which is probably a win. Let's be honest, Oklahoma State's ass. Um, and then they go on the road to BYU. Now maybe they come away with an upset against Texas Tech or BYU. Maybe. I find it unlikely. So they definitely need this one if they want to make a bowl game. and based on how I've started this, I don't think they're going to win this one. I don't think they're going bowling. Now, in conference play, Central Florida is the third lowest scoring offense. But in conference play, they have the fourth best scoring defense. So defense has been fine. Offense has had some struggles though. 44th in total offense, 73rd in passing, 74th in scoring. They are 28th in rushing, so we'll give them some props there. Terrible on third downs. They're 121st. Terrible in the red zone. The number 102nd red zone offense. On 24 red zone attempts, they've come away with only 11 touchdowns, so they're not even hitting at a 50% rate. I mean, you like to see teams hit more than 50% of the time they get in the red zone, they score a touchdown. Ideally, obviously, I understand that doesn't happen all the time, but just throwing that out there. They're only coming away with a score 79% of the time, though. Not great. Uh, in their last four games, 17 of 61 on third down. That's just over 25%. That's in at like 27 and change. And Houston has got a good third down defense. I just think everything is trending towards. I mean, this UCF offense is bad, and they're probably going to continue to be bad. Their defense keeps them in it. And here's the thing with Houston, they have lost two games to Texas Tech and now West Virginia. The the biggest thing that stands out in those two losses is turnovers. Against Texas Tech, they had three. Against West Virginia, they had four. In every other game, which were all wins, by the way, one total turnover, which is insane. They do not turn the ball over. In three games, they've turned the ball over, and they have 8 turnovers in those 3 games. Brutal. Um, UCF, Central Florida, they're not great at taking the ball away. The defense has been good. They're just not great at getting turnovers. 2 turnovers in the last 4 games. Just and Houston does not turn the ball over. If you want to beat Houston, you got to force some turnovers. And I don't think UCF is going to do that. I think they're going to struggle to move the ball. I think they're going to struggle to turn the ball or get turnovers. Give me Houston in this one. Northwestern at USC. USC is the number 19 team in the country. We're going off college football rankings, by the way, now, because AP poll doesn't matter from here on out. They never mattered to begin with. I don't know why we spend so much time on it. I'm guilty of it too, but spend so much time on the AP poll when in the end they don't matter. It's crazy. USC 14.5 point favorite at home. Huge road win for them last week. As we know, USC does not win Big Ten games on the road. But even broken clock is right twice a day. It happens. And if you, I mean, it's USC, it's Lincoln Riley. Based on how they've been this year, you figure, well, they probably got it going through the air. Wrong. Jaden Mayava had his worst game of the season. They did it on the ground, and it. You could argue it took a Dylan Raiola breaking his leg. Oh, by the way, probably should have mentioned that in the news. Dylan Raiola out for the season with a broken leg or broken ankle, one or the other. That sucks. Rough. That's all I'm going to say on that right now, but that's unfortunate. But yeah, could argue that USC may have gotten a little lucky with Dylan Raiola getting hurt. Now they host Nebraska, or not Nebraska. They host Northwestern, and Northwestern's 5-3. They're having a good season. They've won 4 of their last 5. Here's the thing, though: when you look at the teams that they have beat in these last 5 games, or their last 4 wins, combined 11-26. So yes, they're winning, and that's great. They're also playing terrible teams, just brutal. ULM, Purdue, just technically UCLA, just bad teams. USC, number 8 scoring the offense, number two in total offense. Northwestern does have a good defense, but again, who have they really played? It's one of those things that really good offenses that they have played have been able to score on them. Um, they have allowed three teams to score more than 21 points against them: Oregon with 34, Nebraska with 28, Tulane with 23. All three of those are Northwestern's losses, and those are the only three teams to score more than three touchdowns. So, key to beating Northwestern: score three touchdowns, more than three touchdowns. Do I think USC can score more than three touchdowns against Notre Dame or Northwestern's defense? Easily. Um, Northwestern's offense, and not. Here's the thing: USC's defense, they're not like great. They're fine. They're good. They're whatever. Northwestern's offense still might not be able to do much against them, though. They have scored more than 21 points against a Power 4 team just once this year, and that was a 22-21 win against Penn State. Uh, Score more than three touchdowns, Penn State, you win that game. That's the key to beating Northwestern. Score more than three touchdowns. Um, Maybe Northwestern gets lucky, and I shouldn't say lucky. Maybe their defense is legit, and they're able to shut down my Ava at home. Maybe they have some success on the ground because they are the number 6 team in the country at controlling the clock, controlling time of possession. So maybe they have success in the run game. Keep that USC offense on the sideline. Maybe there's a chance they keep it close. Give me USC though. All right, noon slate on Saturday, potentially the game of the day. Number 7 BYU at number 8 Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 10.5 point favorite at home. Whew. Which, to be hosting the number 7 team in the country who is undefeated and to be that heavy of a favorite is crazy. Um, and I get it, I guess, because here's the thing: BYU had an easy start to the schedule. I'm just gonna say everybody knows it. It was the one of the easiest starts to the season, to the point where you really couldn't respect their undefeated record. And I get it because I wasn't a believer at first. Um, I'm a BYU believer now, though. It could not, the way their schedule was laid out, could not have been more perfect. With losing your quarterback in the off season to then having to scramble and make your true freshman who transferred over from Stanford your starter. You played some of the worst teams in college football. I shouldn't say that. Well, no, Stanford and Portland State, but you played some bad teams to start the season. Getting your true freshman quarterback comfortable. And then it's just kind of slowly ramped up from there. Eventually, had a game on the road against Arizona, who's got a decent defense. Came away with the win. Come back, step up. We're gonna host Utah in a rivalry game at home. Come away with the win. All right, let's try to go on the road and beat a better team than Arizona now. So you go on the road to Iowa State, you beat them. All right, what's the next step? Let's go on the road now and take on a Goliath, because that's the last thing to prove, is that you can go on the road and beat an elite team. And so far this year, Texas Tech has been an elite team. The way their schedule was built out for Bear to get comfortable and get acclimated, because that's what you need with a freshman, was so perfect, and it could not have gone any better. Um, but I get, basically, long-winded way to say, I get why the line is as big as it is. Um, Man, the only there's two things that could go BYU's way. First is that this is the 6th game in a row that Texas Tech has played, um, and they're still not their bye is not even next week. They're going to play 7 straight games before they finally have their bye, which is insane. So this is their 6th game in a row. That's that's something. I mean, nobody's fully healthy at that point. Baron Morton, who is now the starter again, has been in and out of the lineup with injuries. The backup, Will Hammond, who was the starter for a minute there, out for the season. if Baron Morton can't get through this full game, that could be that could be some troubles. That could be troublesome for Texas Tech. Also, again, this is their sixth straight game. How beat up, how worn out, how tired are they? I mean, everybody's tired at this point in the season, but a bye week helps, and they still have another 2 weeks till that bye week. Um, because everything else about Texas Tech just points to they're gonna dominate this game. It's just they have scored 34 or more points in every game except one, and that was their one loss to Arizona State. They are fourth in scoring, fifth in total offense. They're great on third down. They're successful in the red zone, scoring on nearly 60% of their trips into the red zone. A touchdown, sorry, a touchdown on nearly 60% of their trips in the red zone, which is phenomenal. Um, yes, BYU has a good defense. I understand that. They're great on third down. They're phenomenal in the red zone. Um, 16th in scoring, 20 something in total defense. I mean, this might have to be a big bend don't break game for BYU, where Texas Tech is going to move the ball. They are, but how when they start to get into plus territory, can you stop them? Can you stay strong in the red zone? Can you hold them to field goals and having to potentially go for on fourth and not get it? I don't know. I think this is going to be a tough game for BYU. Because even like offensively, they love to run the ball. Well, guess what? They're going up against the number one run defense in the country. Only three teams have had more than 100 yards against Texas Tech: Utah with 101, Houston with 103, Kansas State with 126. Now, in defense of this stat, they do not have a lot of. They face like the 14th least amount of runs a game. Teams are not running the ball a lot against this defense. One, because they're very good, but two, they're also behind and having to play catch up. And when you're having to play catch up, you can't really run the ball. So that does play into it. Just keep that in mind. I really think if BYU wants to win this game, they have to have success through the year, which they haven't really had to do this year. But they're really going to have so they're going Bear Bachmeyer has to bring his A+ game. Um, I'm a BYU believer. I'm a Bear believer. I'm having a hard time believing in them for this game, though. I'm gonna take Texas Tech. There's just too many things that point, like I said, outside of injury. There's I don't know. I think Texas Tech wins this one. I hope I'm wrong. I just wanted that on the record. I hope I'm wrong because I really like BYU. I really like Bear Bachmeyer. I just can't believe this game. Number five, Georgia at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a 9.5 point dog at home. So, I mean, okay, let me lay out these two teams for you. You got Georgia, who starts games slow, and they're usually close at halftime. Sometimes Georgia's even losing at halftime. And then they have a dominant second half, specifically the fourth quarter, and then they come away with the win. And then you got Mississippi State, who has it close at halftime, maybe even is leading at halftime, is leading going into the fourth quarter, and then just has all time collapses to lose games. Or has a chance to come back and win it and is in just they have heartbreaking losses in the fourth quarter. What's going to happen in this game is Georgia's going to go down in the first quarter, first half. Mississippi State, they might even be leading at halftime. Georgia's going to have a dominant second half, specifically a fourth quarter. Mississippi State with a with an all-time collapse in the fourth quarter in the second half, and it's another heartbreaking loss for Mississippi State and Brandon Walker. That's exactly what's going to happen in this game because that's what's happened in basically every game for both teams this season. Um, just another heartbreak for Mississippi State. Would it be funny and would I hope that Mississippi State wins? Sure. Uh, I think it's funnier if they have another heartbreaking loss, though. Colorado at West Virginia. You might wonder why I have this game in here. That is because it is a bowl game elimination game. Both teams are 3-6. Colorado is the home team. They are 6.5 point favorites. Um, Both are on like their fourth quarterback. Well, I shouldn't say fourth quarterback because so last week Colorado just got beat down by Arizona. They had four different quarterbacks attempt to pass, which is insane. West Virginia, though, through injuries, is down to like their fourth quarterback. I don't know if Khalil Wilkins is injured or still injured, or if he was injured, or if he just was benched for the other freshman. I don't know exactly, but West Virginia's played four different quarterbacks this year too. It's ugly. And I honestly, I mean, bowl game is still on the table. Do I think either team can win out? No. But one is officially being eliminated this weekend from being able to play in a bowl game. We'll start with Colorado. In their last two games, it has just they have looked terrible. They're being outscored 105-24. It's been bad on both sides of the ball. Caden Salter has been terrible. Uh, I just it's been bad. It's almost like they're just a dead team walking. Julian Lewis is going to be the starter this week because, I mean, at this point, what do you have to lose? Caden Salter's been awful. Start the freshman, might as well. And like I said, it hasn't been good on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I already mentioned the 105 points that have been scored against them. Um, they did beat Iowa State a few games back, but in their last three games on the ground, or defensively, they've been torched on the ground. 236 yards, 422 yards, and 204 yards allowed. They've also struggled to stop mobile quarterbacks. Every mobile quarterback they have faced has dominated them. They have the worst run defense in Power 4 football, and that does not bode well for this game because West Virginia, albeit they're in the 40s when it comes to rushing yards, so I guess I shouldn't say that they're terrible. They're eighth in the country in attempts. They love to run the ball. And Scotty Fox Jr., while he may not have the stats to back it up, he does have the ability to utilize his legs. This is going to be a long game for Colorado. I guess there's two ways to look at it. Maybe they're fired up from getting beat down the last two games and their freshman quarterback's taking over. Maybe West Virginia's coming off a high from beating Houston on the road. I still have West Virginia winning this one. Number 9, Oregon at number 20, Iowa. Iowa is a 6.5 point dog at home. I am struggling with this game. First of all, sounds like it's going to be just disgusting weather, which Oregon already had to play in that last week. I don't know if you saw that game against Wisconsin. It was bad. Just another game, terrible weather. I'm struggling with this game. They have three common opponents. And when you look at those games, both teams barely beat Penn State. Okay, so we'll kind of say that's even. Um, Iowa beat Wisconsin 37-0. Oregon beat them 21-7. Now, terrible weather. Maybe cut them a little bit of a break on that. But Iowa still technically wins that one. And then they both played Indiana. Indiana beat Oregon 30-20. And Indiana beat Iowa 20-15. So based on the fact that they only lost by 5 and held them to the season low of 20 points, you got to give that edge to Iowa. So then you look at this matchup between these two. I guess Iowa should win this game. but it's hard for me to trust. And I'm gonna get torched for this because Gopher's offense is not good, but it's hard for me to trust an offense that is led by a quarterback who still has not thrown for 1,000 yards, has 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I have a hard time backing a team that has that. And then I also find myself almost treating this game kind of like I did the Indiana Oregon game, which does not bode well for me because before that game, I basically was saying on paper, Indiana, why not Indiana? They have every shot to win this game. But I had this nagging feeling that it wasn't going to be a close game and that Oregon was going to dominate them. And that's just not what happened. It turned out it was a very good game, and why not Indiana? And then I look at this game against Oregon, and on paper, why not Oregon? They have every chance to win this game. On paper, they should have every shot to win. But I have this nagging feeling that Oregon is just going to absolutely blow them out. And we already saw how that went for me the first time. So really, I should be picking Iowa in this one. But I'm going with Oregon. Number 3, Texas A&M at number 22, Missouri. Missouri is a 6.5-point dog at home. I mean, they lost Sam Horn at the beginning of the year. He, I guess, probably would have been the backup most of the season. Who knows? Maybe he would have won the starting job because I'm pretty sure it was going to be a 2 QB system at the beginning. Lost Bo Pribula the other week. Um, so now it's up to true freshman Matt Zollers. He is the guy now. And maybe he can bring a spark to this offense. We'll see. I don't know. They've really struggled over the last 3 games. First 5 games of the year, Ahmad Hardy was the heart and soul of this offense. He was averaging 146 yards a game, 7 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. And then in the last 3 games, he's averaging 69 yards a game at 3.7 yards a pop and 2 total touchdowns. Night and day difference for him. And then in those 3 games, they are 1-2. So he hasn't been successful on the ground. Offense has struggled. They've lost these games. And their one win was a double overtime 23-17 win over Auburn, who's just fired their coach. This season, too, they are the 15th best team in the country when it comes to third downs, just a smidge over 50%. But in the last 3 games, they're converting like basically a 32% rate last 3 games. So the two of the two of the main things that made this offense so great, the run game, Ahmad Hardy, and third downs, have just been completely lackluster these last 3 games. Texas A&M has the number 1 defense in the country when it comes to third downs and the 33rd run defense. They had a week to game plan, so maybe they can get Ahmad Hardy going again. Maybe they can be better on third down, but nobody's been good on third down against Texas A&M. I can't get behind Mizzou winning this game. They were just scraping by with Pribula as it was before he got hurt. I also have a future on Texas A&M to make the playoffs, so I'm a little biased. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, Give me A&M. Auburn at number 16, Vanderbilt. Vandy is a 6.5-point favorite at home. And I mean, maybe now that Hugh Freeze is gone, we see some life from this Auburn offense. It's doubtful, but maybe. Um, Man, they really have been so terrible. Like, I don't think. No, I'm sure people understand just how crazy it is for his offense to be this bad. 104th in scoring. They have scored 20 plus only twice against Power 4 opponents. 111th in total offense, 106th on third downs, 134th in sacks allowed. Worst team in Power Four, by the way. The one thing they are decent at is running the ball. I'll give them that, I guess. Um, they are about to take on the number 17 run defense in the country, though. I don't. I have no doubt in my mind that this Auburn defense is good enough to stop Vandy's offense from time to time. Um, I'm not going to give them a 100% success rate, but they'll stop them enough for any normal offense to keep this a good game or even upset Vandy. But Auburn's offense has shown absolutely zero signs of being good all year. Give me Vandy in this one. Iowa State at TCU. TCU is a 7.5 point favorite at home. Iowa State on a 4 game losing streak after starting the season undefeated have lost 4 straight. Um, TCU has been fine over their last 3 game stretch or so. Lost to Kansas State, beat Baylor. I'm not going to say easily, but they beat Baylor. And then they barely beat West Virginia. And it feels like this Iowa State this team is good enough to turn it around at some point. That this losing streak's got to stop at some point. Why not against TCU? Why can't TCU be the team that they start to turn it around? Now, maybe, maybe Matt Campbell has accepted a coaching job somewhere and he is completely checked out, or the team knows and they've just kind of given up. So maybe that's why Iowa State's on a 4 game losing streak. I don't really believe that, but it's a rumor we could throw out there. Um, Give me Iowa State in this one because they got to turn it around at some point. There's no way that they're going to keep this losing streak going. Maryland at Rutgers. Rutgers is a 2.5 point favorite. Uh, I'm about to believe in Maryland in the month of October and November. Um, as you know, Maryland wins all of their games pretty much in August and September, and then October and November they just can't win. Um, Offense has struggled the last couple weeks, but this could be a get right game for them. Rutgers defense is butt cheeks. In Big Ten play, 38 points allowed, 31 points allowed, 38, 56, 24, 35. On top of it, on top of that, their offense has not been as high flying as they were to start Big Ten play. First 3 Big Ten games, 25 points a game, over 420 yards a game, and they were converting their third downs nearly 43% of the time. Last 3 Big Ten games, just over 16 points a game, 352 yards a game, converting only 31.2% of their third downs. They've also been terrible in the red zone, 103rd in the country, and just okay on third down, 67. On top of that, they are they are allowing the third most sacks in of any Power 4 team. It's been they started the season so hot, and then it's just been brutal ever since. Basically, the last 3 games, it's really gone downhill. Maybe, maybe Rutgers can get turned around in this game. Maybe this is the game we see the offense that we saw earlier this year, but I am seriously doubting it. Maryland's defense very much bend don't break. 47th in scoring, but 84th in total yardage. Not that 47th in scoring great by any means, but it's far away. 84th in total defense, but only about 47th in scoring is crazy. Um, they've been great at getting after the quarterback. They've been decent in the red zone. I think this is a get back on track game for Maryland. I think they get their first October-November win. LSU at Alabama. Alabama is number 4 in the country. They are 9.5 point favorites at home. This is one of those matchups that we all thought was going to be so great this year. And I mean, who knows? Maybe it still ends up that way. Maybe this ends up being a great game because it is hard to know what a team's going to look like after they fire their coach. Um, Last time we saw LSU, they looked like a broken team. It was just Texas A&M was showing them absolutely no mercy. It was it was tough to see. They just looked broken. And who knows? Maybe they're broken the rest of the year, and that's that. I feel like people might have hated Brian Kelly, and we might see this team show a little more life. So why not against Alabama? I guess again, you just never know what kind of team you're going to get after they fire their coach. So I'm having a hard time previewing this one. If Brian Kelly was still the coach, it'd be Bama wins easily. But now that he's fired, who knows? Maybe LSU shows some life. I'm still going to take Bama in this one, but weirdly enough, I am less confident now than I would be if Brian Kelly was still the coach. Wake Forest at number 14, Virginia. Virginia is 6.5 point favorites at home. I mean, last week I said Wake Forest is a sneaky good team and that Virginia was going to lose to Cal. Virginia beat Cal and Wake Forest looked like absolute ass. Um, I still think Virginia might lose one more game before the season is over, but I'm having my doubts that that is going to be this weekend. I think it looks like Virginia found their run game again. They were struggling there for a little bit. They had a stretch of like three-ish games that they really couldn't find any success on the ground, and they were in some close ones. But they found it again last week against Cal. I'm just going to assume that they figured something out moving forward. I think Virginia survives another week. Florida State at Clemson. Clemson is a 1.5 point favorite at home. These teams are a combined 7-9. And no, it's not because one team is 7-1, and the other is 0-8. Both teams are just absolute garbage. Um, FSU has been a roller coaster. Won the first three games, lost the next four, won last week. Just a roller coaster. Clemson, I guess you could argue the same. Started 1-3, then they won two, then they lost two. Uh, Damn man, this Clemson team. The only thing that I think, well, I'll get into it. This offense for Clemson is very one-dimensional. They have no run game to speak of. Wasn't sure how it was going to be going into the season. Didn't think it would be this terrible. Um, they also aren't good in the red zone. They're not good on third downs. They turn the ball over a little too much. Um, Defensively, I mean, they're good against the run, cannot defend the pass. And they're going up against the Florida State team that does like to run the ball. So, I mean, that's one thing that they can nullify, but then they're also pretty good at throwing the ball as well. So that I go back and forth on this one. The only thing that I can really why I think Clemson is going to win this is because I do think Dabo Swinney is um, he's going to whip up some magic, whether it's just some sort of motivation to get these guys ready. I think Mike Norvell's gone. Yeah, I think he's probably still gone at this point. Um, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't trust either team in this one. I I trust neither team to put together a full game and come away with the win. I am going to take Clemson. I think Dabo Swinney works his magic, but I'm not confident in either team. Florida at Kentucky. Kentucky is a 3.5 point dog at home. Uh, Kentucky got Hugh Freeze fired. They're coming off their first SEC win. They're feeling great. Um, if I'm going to say one nice thing about Kentucky, other than they got their first SEC win, which congrats, Cutter Boley has been a nice surprise for them. He didn't really look like it last week, but he's been a nice surprise overall. Um, but man, this Kentucky team, they really have been bad. In SEC play, the offense has scored a total of 23, 13, 14, 13, 34, 10 points. Um, Brutal. Defensively, they've allowed 30, 35, 35, 16, 56, 3. Usually, we're used to seeing Kentucky's offense be, I mean, I won't say bad. This is extra bad, but I mean they're never great. This is pretty bad though. Defensively though, we're not used to Kentucky being a bad defense. Usually Kentucky's got a decent defense. That has not been the case for the most part. Um, yeah, not this Kentucky team is so bad. Florida fired Napier after a 3-4 start, as we all know. Lost the first game. Uh, after they fired him. Played pretty well against Georgia. Defense has been good this year. Not great, but good. Um, Offense has flat out just sucked, honestly. They've had their moments, but if we had to grade it down to what it actually is, it sucks. Um, I think Kentucky's going to struggle to score points in this one. I think we see Florida do enough to win this game. Number two, Indiana at Penn State. Uh, Man, this was supposed to be such a great game. Uh, Penn State is a 14.5 point dog at home. What a rough back-to-back games for Penn State. At first Ohio State, now Indiana. I want to believe that Penn State can put up a fight in this one. I do. I really would love it if they can make this a game. And maybe they do in the first half like they did against Ohio State, but Indiana is an absolute wagon. Um, Penn State's not going to be able to keep up for a full game. Um, Stanford at North Carolina. North Carolina is a 7.5 point favorite at home. I think North Carolina, I mean, the fact that they're a 7.5 point favorite is crazy. Just didn't think we would see that from North Carolina this year after the way it started. But I do think that they've found something, at least defensively. Offensively needs a lot of work still, but you're going up against Stanford. I do think North Carolina comes away with the win. Um, Kansas at Arizona. Arizona is a 5.5 point favorite. I mean, I'm kind of torn on this one because Kansas is just an average team. Arizona has a good defense. Offense can be good when they're going up against a bad defense. I'm not going to say Kansas defense is that good. They're like I said, they're an average team. Um, Man, I go back and forth on who I think is going to actually win this game. Um, because again, Noah Fafita, I don't trust him at all. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. But again, when he plays a bad defense, he looks pretty good. Arizona does have a good defense. Jalen Daniels. Give me Arizona in this one. Number 23, Washington at Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a 11.5 point dog at home. Washington's a good team. They are. Plain and simple. That's it. There's nothing else to say. They're a good team. Wisconsin is not. Washington wins. Uh, Nebraska at UCLA. UCLA is a 1.5 point favorite at home. Nebraska might have won that game if Dylan Riola didn't get hurt. Just saying. And I don't think UCLA is as good as USC. Yes, Nebraska's going on the road. Yes, you're starting a freshman quarterback for the first time. Um, Give me Nebraska in this one. My five favorite bets for this weekend. Give me Maryland moneyline plus 110. Give me Colorado and West Virginia over 53.5 at minus 110. All right, this is the last time we're going to try this bet um, for this team specifically. The rest of the season, if it doesn't hit. Georgia fourth quarter minus 1.5 at minus 110. Auburn and Vandy under 45.5 at minus 110. And then Kentucky under 20.5 points at minus 110. Some honorable mentions: West Virginia minus 6.5 at minus 105. Iowa State plus 7.5 at minus 118. Oregon minus 6.5 at minus 110. And BYU under 131.5 rushing yards. I forgot to put the what the odds are on that one. Power 4 moneyline parlay. Give me Florida from the SEC, West Virginia from the Big 12, UNC from the ACC, and Nebraska from the Big 10 at plus 520. Thank y'all for joining me. Um, like I mentioned earlier, if you like my content, if you made it this far, if you listened this far, I appreciate you. Um, but yeah, like and subscribe. Enjoy the football. Happy betting, and I will be back. Oh, forgot to put this in the news. Uh, Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm going live. That's how we're gonna try it. We'll do it once, see how it goes. Instead of pre-recording and then releasing Monday morning, I'm just gonna start. We're gonna try it, see what happens. I'm gonna go live Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. 10:30 a.m. Eastern. All right. Yeah, thank you all for joining me, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.